a hug. He's a hugger.
I just got a bear hug from Smokey Bear. Status update!
All right, I'm going to let you go now. I've got a lot of ranger stuff to do. There are many ways to start a fire, but one sure way to put it out. Learn how you can do your part at SmokeyBear.com.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Sponsored by the U.S. Forest Service, Ad Council, and your state forester.
You're listening to 89.1 FM, KBBF Santa Rosa, celebrating 40 years of public service to the North Bay.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to The Queer Life on KBBF 89.1. This is LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussion. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer, and I am joined today, as always, with the amazing and brilliant and beautiful Mandi Hauwert.
How am I supposed to live up to that?
Oh my gosh. Well, neither of us are Jedi Masters like our previous guest.
We're like Padawans. Maybe.
Yeah, this is true. Maybe we'll have to bring Jess back in. And as always, we are talking about all things within the LGBTQIA community. Although we're somewhat trans-centric at the moment just because of mainstream media and culture. And everybody's like, ooh, this is new, except not really, because
and the fact that we are trans.
Yes, and with the fact that we are trans, so that's going to skew these perspectives. But as a little disclaimer that I always like to put at the beginning of the show, this is all Kaiya's opinion. Well, it's not all my opinion, but maybe some of Mandi's opinion, maybe some of our guests' opinion. But I want to put out there that we're not mental health professionals. We're not doctors. We're not lawyers. We're not really anybody that's professionally certified to give you advice. So what you hear here is I like to call myself a witness. I've been a witness to a lot of brilliant people and their hearts and minds and words and all that good stuff, but we just share what we witness with you here, and we certainly hope that it is helpful for you. Another little disclaimer, a lot of people seem to think that this is a racy show. We are just progressive, and we happen to speak about certain body parts.
Like butts.
Like butts, yes. Lots and lots of butts. So actually, we had an episode dedicated to a butt.
To your butt.
To my butt.
Specifically.
That wasn't intended. I totally didn't mean for that. So awesome. I mean, Mandi, shoot, this is crazy. Can you believe it? This is our 10th episode.
Serious? Is it?
Yeah, like for reals. I'm super serial.
Super serial.
Super serial.
Shut up.
Have to capture member pig. And although we talk about serious subjects in here, we like to keep it light. We like to keep it fun because that life's too serious. There's all this there's all this hate, and I don't think that we can battle hate with hate. We battle hate with lots of giggling.
With more hate.
With more. I hear what you're saying, and the answer is more. We need more hate.
Not just hate, but more hate.
Yeah, it's like it's like the player haters ball and Dave Chappelle. I'm pretty sure somebody spit in this drink here. So, so anyway, without much further ado, I just kind of want to give like a little brief introduction here for our very special guest this evening, we have our guest for this evening is Jacqueline Nugent. Am I saying your last name right? Okay. And she is the co-facilitator for the Transgender North Bay, a support group here in Santa Rosa. And that's actually how I met her. I went to this support group about 1.5 years at a time when I was pretty miserable. I probably looked like a little hobo, and then every once in a while I'd put on makeup or whatever. But I've got like a little short bio here, which you can actually see. And another thing, this episode that you're listening to, you can actually watch it stream live on YouTube. You can actually go to thequeerlife.org and hit episode 10, which should be the first thing right there that you see. Why am I talking like Kirk right now? Sorry, I'm a huge dork. This is, we've had previous episodes where we talk about bringing nerdyage into the queer life, whatever. Anyway, so Jacqui.
Yes.
Can I read your little short bio that you gave me? Okay. Jacqui was raised Catholic in Marin County, California. She grew up feeling uncomfortable in her assigned gender as a male, but learned too much shame and guilt over her desire to live as a female. And she's here to share her story with us. So did I properly introduce you, or did I...
That's fine. Thank you.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to do a little mic check with you. Could you speak into your microphone for me?
Mic check number 1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh,
1, 2,
okay.
3, 4.
Wow, there we go.
Much better.
Our expert engineers here in our Imagineers,
The Imaginarium.
the Imaginarium. Is that kind of like
Or Mr. Megorium's Wonder Emporium.
yes, in our Wonder Emporium here in Rainbow
I
Lands.
was wondering.
Yeah, we
Apparently microphones have to be turned on.
yeah. This
magical.
is it's friendship is magical, Mandy.
We should play like goofy music while we're fixing things like technical
Yeah.
difficulties, right?
Let me pull up my iTunes. Let's see if I have any. All I have is Brittany in my iTunes here. So.
Oops. She did it again.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I mean, could you tell? I mean, first off, could you tell us a little bit about the support group?
Okay, the support group is on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays at Positive Images. It's for anyone who identifies anywhere on the M to F scale, from someone who's not sure if they are, to someone who's transitioned, possibly someone who identifies as a cross-dresser. So, we all have in common that we were assigned male at birth, and to different degrees, we identify with the female. And everyone is invited to come if you're trans-friendly. Come on and discover who you are and find support, find resources, make friendships. Everybody is welcome who will, especially on the 4th Tuesday when we have a potluck.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite day. I come in for the potluck. I'm usually terrible at cooking, so I try to make it rain, throw some bills into the into the little donation pot there, and the one thing is, like, this is not a dating place, right?
Right. We really discourage dating within the group, because then one person will not feel comfortable coming back. So that's really important, because this has to be a safe and confidential space for everyone. Everything that's said there stays there, so that people can feel that they can comfortably come down, talk about what's going on in their life, and not have it brought up again.
Wow. So what we're looking at here is a place that people should be go to if they're questioning themselves.
Definitely questioning themselves, and also people who have transitioned. I've had one lady come by who's in her 70s. She's been widowed for 10 years, and she just wanted to support for one night to check in with other people who are like her.
Right.
Though she spends most of her life as stealth, meaning that she doesn't tell people her background. Occasionally she needs to drop by to see her friends.
So stealth is not like hidden in the shadows like a rogue.
No, stealth is actually right out in the open, but you don't talk about your background as being trans. You just talk about yourself as being a woman or a man.
In your own words, can you give a definition to the term transgender?
Well, it's interesting right now because things are rather volatile. The term transsexual.
Wait, volatile how?
Well, things are changing. There's some discussion. Julia Serrano just posted a new discussion last night that I saw talking about the movement from transsexual to transgender. Transgender being a very umbrella term that includes gender queer, non-binary, anyone who doesn't identify with the binary gender that they were given at birth, either male or female.
Binary. So, what do you mean by binary?
Binary means there's only two choices. You're either male or you're female.
Like super salad?
Yes, like super salad, exactly. Whereas genderqueer people, the best description I've ever gotten was from a 16-year-old genderqueer person who told me that imagine gender being a long line of chairs, and male is at one end and female is at the other, and then you've got a whole bunch of choices in between, because some people, like some women, like football, so that makes them a little less feminine. Some men love to cook, and that people would consider that more feminine than masculine. But genderqueer, they take all the chairs out of the middle and they put a beanbag there and they slide back and forth, never claiming either male or female or any one spot. They love to mess people's heads up by not letting them know what gender they were.
So they play musical chairs with gender a little bit.
Very much so, yes.
Because I tend to situate myself at the fabulous end.
Oh, of course, always.
So how long have you been co-facilitating this group?
I've been co-facilitating the group for about 5 years. Before that, I was very lucky to have a very good friend, Diane Giles, who ran TGIF, Thank God I'm Female. Which was
is that for real? I love that.
Yes, it was. And she and her wife, Anne, had a support group at their house after Diane transitioned as a math teacher at Santa Rosa Junior College.
Wow. So
hold on. She transitioned into a math teacher.
No, she was a math teacher her whole career, and in the last few years of her career as a math teacher, she transitioned from male to female.
Okay, because you
but
said
she stayed a math teacher.
She transitioned as a math teacher.
So yes, she did. You're just trying to confuse me, Mandy. That's all that is.
A lot of people would say that we're all confused.
Yeah, that's something we get accused of a lot. But
I'm sorry, I lost you there.
What?
I see you do love to have fun.
A little too much sometimes.
You know, this is very serious. Okay.
Yeah, we're very serious in here. It's very serious topic.
This is like
anal bleaching.
Yeah. No, you know what, Mandy? You know what? So
I didn't think you were gonna go there.
You know, we've gone there. I thought we left there, but apparently we keep coming back
for at least the next few months. We
keep coming back for treatments because I'm told that it takes several treatments.
Well, at least you're being clean.
We'll have to ask the ladies from Ciao Bella.
Yeah. Who've been really fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. So,
all right, moving on
now. So you co-facilitate this group. Who is the other co-facilitator?
Rachel Sutter is the other co-facilitator, and the two of us were trained by NAMI, the National Association for the Mentally Ill, who recognized that there were not enough resources for trans people in Sonoma County. And so they trained a whole bunch of people, not just in Sonoma County, in the whole North Bay area, to be peer facilitators for support groups.
Wow. NAMI, N-A-M-I, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I just want to make a shout out to all of our listeners out there. Again, you're listening to The Queer Life. This episode, you can listen to it and watch it actually online. At www.thequeerlife.org. You can also find a link on facebook.com/thequeerlife. You can also follow us at Twitter. Tweet us some questions here at The Queer Life. Also, if you have any questions, if you are questioning yourself in terms of your gender identity, or you know somebody who is, give us a call. Well, if you don't shout out, don't try to out anybody. We don't want that. But like, if you have any questions about it, feel free to give us a call, 707-545-0318. And we would certainly love to have Jacqui answer that for you. I'm not an expert, so
I'm not an expert. I'm just more knowledgeable than many.
yes, more knowledgeable than me. But so we're gonna put that out there. Also, if you just have questions about how to help your friend or to help yourself, or if you want to talk about yourself in the third person, if you feel too embarrassed, just be like, say my friend. It was like, as a kid, it's like my mom. It's not, or like when my mom would come in, to my room, it's like, where did you get this? It's like, it's not mine. I'm holding it for a friend. That's a bad example.
That's not as bad as the stash my mother found under my bed after I went to the military.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell the listeners about that.
Basically, after I went to the military, I had a stash of clothes that I had kept before I went into the military, and I forgot about it when I left. And so halfway through my career, after my mother decided to actually go in and kind of rearrange the room and use it as storage, essentially, they found a whole bag of women's clothing, most of it pretty provocative stuff, Did
they think you were bringing women up to your room?
Actually, they thought it belonged to one of my exes who dressed pretty loosely, if you know what I mean. Loosely in tight clothing. I'm trying to be nice about it, but yeah. And I told him, yeah, it's totally hers.
Of course.
But it was mine. Yeah.
Did you eventually tell your mom about that?
Oh, yeah. No, she knows about it.
Well, it was definitely a woman they hadn't met.
She's not finding out just now.
Yeah. No, you're right. It definitely was. So, sorry, like I was away from the mic. I dropped my water lid bottle. I'm extremely clumsy. I'm like the clumsiest martial artist I know. It's horrible.
This is true. I've seen you.
Shut up.
Well, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm a very agreeable person.
You don't love me, Mandy. No love. Anyway, this is the No Love Hour with Mandi Hauwert. I also want to make another announcement to our listeners here. As you know, KBBF had a big fundraiser last week. You probably heard us calling and begging you and asking you to help us. But as always, KBBF is run by donations. It's run by viewers like you. Wait, that's not
viewers.
This gets
listeners.
Listeners, we don't have funding from the Corporation for Public.
Oh my gosh.
Is that a tongue tie?
That was my Asian coming out.
Oh my gosh.
From the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
Public
broadcasting.
That's really bad. You shouldn't do that.
My family would be mad at me. But we don't get any huge major donations. We're not like all those other fancy organizations that are getting big bucks all the time. This organization really needs your help. So even though the fundraiser is over, I'm gonna say, hey, go to kbbf-fm.org. Hit the donation link. It would so go a long way. Seriously. Also, you can call the office 707-545-8833 and be like, hey, I want to give y'all some money because I love public radio, because I love the queer life. If that's not your motivator, you don't have to say that. Even if it isn't, I would love to hear you say that. But again, our lines are open to anybody who wants to give us a chat in the studio, 707-545-0318, or tweet us at The Queer Life. Always open, always open, always open. Okay, Jacqui.
Yes.
So it sounds like you're doing a lot of great work. You're connected to NAMI, which seems to be an organization that's out to help people with mental illness. Not that there's anything wrong with people with mental illness. There's something wrong, but like
well, it's like anything else.
Yeah.
There's a real stigma around mental illness.
There we go.
And there really shouldn't be. It's like anything else that any other disease, a head cold, a virus. If you get sick, you go to the doctors and they can treat you and make you well. And so with mental illness, it's the same thing.
Wow. Okay. So I just we've got about 6 more minutes before we have to go to Kaiya's dancing break. But
you're rain dancing.
Yes, this
we
might
need rain.
all the rain that we've had. The little bit of rain. That's
because of her. It's all her.
That's all me.
Oh,
She's worked hard.
Yeah, we've got 9 episodes of me dancing.
And now we'll have 10 after today.
Yes, exactly. So if you want to see me dancing, you can go to www.thequeerlife.org and click on any one of the video links. You can see me dancing, because what's music without dancing?
And actually, I think I want to say by the end of the year, there may be a special surprise.
A special surprise
for the viewers.
I love special surprises.
Well, it'll include your rain dancing. I'm just saying that.
Rain dancing? Maybe we should have a dance off. A webcam dance off.
Well, don't we have to start having the guests that come in dance on camera with you?
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
yeah. If anybody wants to dance with us, you can go to thequeerlife.org and go to the contact page and be like, hey, I dance, so can you.
Can they send videos in to the website and post videos of their best Kaiya rain dancing?
Yeah, so if you post a video on YouTube and then you send us a link on the queerlife.org contact page, we will feature you. If it's appropriate, of course.
Well, yeah.
I have to put that little disclaimer in there. I mean, you can do the slutty girl dance. That's about as far as we can go with that.
Well, you have to be appropriately clothed. Right?
Yeah, appropriate. Yes, wearing clothing.
Yes, wearing clothing.
Some people have a loose definition of that. It's like, oh, that skirt's too long.
Are you listening to me?
Are you sleeping? There's way too many in jokes. People are just like, what are these?
Nobody knows what we're talking about.
No, it's
just the two of us.
Just the two of us. It's just.
But you know what? If we're not having fun, they're not having fun.
Exactly. So I'm happy because you're happy. I mean, you're happy because I don't know. Anyway, so Jacqui, I hope you're keeping up here.
No, I'm just letting you run ahead and I'll watch.
It's awesome. So all right. Well, I mean, so one of the things that I notice about the support groups is that we try to keep it as open to anybody. I know there isn't much emphasis necessarily on certain aspects of transition, necessarily just talking about surgery the whole time, because what's the deal with that? Doesn't everybody want surgery?
Yeah, that's really important, because most people think the be all and end all of being trans is all about surgery. But I mean, that's pretty nice for us white middle class people who have a lot of money, but most people either can't afford it, or it's not medically possible if they have another disease, what's called a comorbidity, such as diabetes. Most surgeons won't touch them. And so for a lot of people, just getting the hormones and reshaping their body so they more fit with the role that they want to be in society, that's all they can do. And for some people, occasional going out on the weekend and dressing and being with friends and having a good time, that's as far as they can go.
Wow. Okay, I want to talk about this a little bit more, but we need to take a little musical break, and we will go from there. All right, you ready for some musical breaking?
Yeah.
All right, awesome.
Break it.
All right. So this audio is still going to hear. So you're on the Queer Life.
Can they see it?
Yeah,
they can see you
right now. Yeah.
Can they see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Oh, you don't want to know I can dance. Where am I? Hi. Dance and dance.
Because of internet copyright, I'm going to switch the microphone from the music so it doesn't go over the online feed.
I will feel.
All right. So, and hello, viewers. If you're watching here, normally music happens at this spot, but because YouTube came down hard on me, the man came down on me, I cannot play you the wonderful music that we're streaming. So, bam. But if you have anything for us, tweet us at The Queer Life. We will hook it up, yo. Shut up. So, give me a sec. I need to do this.
Let's see, probably an angel already tweeted us.
Okay, is she watching?
Yeah.
Cool.
She's a regular listener, watcher.
What's the farthest you've gotten?
New York.
No, we're all over the world.
We got people from online.
Neat.
We have people in the
But
UAE.
radio-wise, the inmates, down south are different.
Neat.
You can kind of catch it down there, not really though.
Neat. My friend Mary, who broadcasts at KRCB, she got her first web listener from northern Canada. She was very thrilled.
Awesome. I'm just setting up PSAs and the promos and the words with our sponsors.
You've gotten sponsors. Good deal.
We don't have sponsors.
Oh, the station.
The station has, yeah.
The station,
I'd say that'd be wonderful. You've gotten sponsors.
Right.
But they don't sponsor the shows directly. They sponsor the station.
Yeah. Unless they want to.
Yeah, unless they want to. Well, they can send it. The best way they wanted it when they explained it to us was to send it through the station, but when they make the donation, let them know it's for this show or for that.
Right.
My God. Hope everybody is enjoying this on the web. It is really freaking hot in here.
What, 88 temperature inside or outside?
I think it's in here.
It's in here.
It's 88 degrees in here.
It's really warm.
Mm-hmm.
It's always warm. I'm waiting for the winter time when it's gonna be cold.
Yeah.
That's so great.
Yeah.
I'll be so happy.
Be all bundled up. Have to start wearing scarves and.
Hey, you saw my door. I have all my scarves on the back of my door.
Yeah.
Like, it's so big you can't even shut the door. Like, I have like probably 15, 20 scarves.
Have you heard anything for a while since you moved out?
No, and just to let you know, all the audio in this room is still going over the air.
Well, over the internet.
Over the internet.
Yeah. No, I have not.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah. Hope she's doing good. Last time I heard she's doing a little better.
Where's your
What? I love this one.
Hey, next week I'm gonna bring my digital camera with me. The solar camera. We'll take some good pictures.
DJ Broken Record.
Where is he?
I don't know. Where's Edgar?
News, current events, interviews, and exclusive tracks.
He copied me on that. News, current events, interviews.
So far, we've not had any roundtable discussion because we don't have any roundtable.
You have a half round table.
Yeah,
like that.
a semicircle table.
Well,
Although when we finally get to it, I'm sure that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Low-cost health insurance for kids and teens. All
Feel
the
like
way up
warm.
to age 19.
Probably warmer.
Yeah.
Regular checkups,
But you know, it's big.
immunizations, doctor and dentist
So we got the server rack in there
visits,
too.
mental health services, prescriptions, and more. Children in a family of
There's a
four
server rack
earning
that
up to
should be temperature controlled.
$47,700 a year or more may qualify, and parents may be eligible for Medicaid too. It's a
Wait, we got like
healthy
5 minutes worth of
with their hands full.
things going
For more
on.
information, go online.
Wait, the
to
next one's like 4.5
insurekids.gov
minutes.
Or call 1-877-KIDS.
Whatever. That's fine.
Long break.
That's 1-877.
More time to do fun.
7669. Enrollment is open year round.
All right, everybody on the internet feeds, I'm going to give you a little tour of the. Oh crap! I gotta press the next button. There you go. There we go. Ah! All right, everybody. Hello. I'm holding you. You are in my firm embrace. Say hello, Mandy's. Say hello. This is Mandy's. Say hello. Hello. I am a good camera person. No, I'm not.
You got a crane shot?
Yeah, let's do. I'm sorry if you're getting motion sickness. This is the board. This is where I mix. This is the computer. These are the speakers. This is the phone and the thing that plays CDs. And this is the clock. Even though you can't see it.
Wow, now they're really
I'm sorry. Oops. There we go.
This is Simeon.
This is Simeon. There we go. My hair looks tired.
Did you put the oil?
I didn't shower today. I didn't say
On the radio.
I was sick.
Now everyone knows you no shower.
I'm not dirty. I'm hungry. I need a burrito.
We should go to high tech. Or HTV.
What?
We should go to the HTV.
HTB. The HTB. Down at the HTB.
I'm gonna get this Thai peanut burrito.
I want the Thai peanut burrito.
That's great.
That's the one thing you never do in the radio. On the radio, pound the table with this window.
I'm not good at this radio thing.
Yeah.
I like to.
I know, luckily.
Let's see, Adrian's life hasn't been the same since the undead arrived. But his green brain neighbor may give him the edge he needs to survive. A riveting horror novel that will give you chills. It's free.
You know, chill. I chill, yo.
See, every day I get these from my Kindle. Like, there's always at least one or two free books, and almost always $1. And this is legit, it's a legit site, you know. The authors put their book out on there to basically kind of cheap advertising.
You're cheap at
book for free or for $1. Now here's my new book.
You're cheap at advertising.
Good deal.
So I get a daily update. And usually they have our Twitter feed, which normally isn't that active yet. So normally we just get Paulina on top of them.
We love her for it.
No, we love Paulina.
I'm gonna retweet her.
And then I bring up like all the news articles that I've been posting during the week to her and me. I'll bring a few of them up just in case, you know. You hear about that one?
Yeah, I did.
Did you hear about what is the word?
Lily Macbeth.
They also passed a law in California about honoring trans people being buried.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about California takes a stand against gay and trans panic defense, transsexual differences caught on brain scan, transgender woman says she was locked in a cell with a rapist, and California governor signs respect after death. That'll be in the next hour.
Usted no tiene problema con la cantidad de sueño que ha dormido, pero sí con la calidad de sueño. La buena noticia dice él que si se convierte con un tratamiento, entonces se recupera perfectamente.
This is a really long promo.
Todos los efectos negativos y dañinos causados por la falta de sueño.
And my Spanish isn't reading. I just retweeted.
I know, I just saw it. I'm like, oh, we got a notification.
We're gonna go on in 10 seconds.
Estás escuchando KBN Radio por el Gente de la Calle. La voz de nuestra comunidad.
Hello, everybody. You're listening to The Queer Life on KBBF 89.1 LGBT News, Modern Perspectives, Round Table Discussion. I am your host, Kaiya Kramer. I am with Mandi Hauwert, my co-host.
Is that kind of like a Semi Shatner?
I am like, with my co-host Mandi. That's the girly version. And we are joined today by our wonderful and amazing guest, co-facilitator for the Transgender North Bay support group at Positive Images in Santa Rosa, Jacqui. Thank you again for joining us.
It's been a pleasure so far.
So appreciated. Also, if you stick around here in the next hour, we're going to be talking about some news subjects that have caught my eye. Again, very trans-centric. It's just there's not a whole lot of like gay news going on. We're capturing that, and whatever gay news that we find, we retweet and we post on the Facebook page, facebook.com/thequeerlife. Yes, I'm shameless. Go there, and also.
It's just that right now the trans community is getting its day in the spotlight, basically.
Finally,
yeah.
Not because we're more important, but because it's like people finally know that we exist, which is an amazing thing. So we're going to talk about California takes a stand against gay and trans panic defenses in criminal cases. We're also going to talk about transsexual differences caught on brain scans. Third subject is a transgender woman says she was locked in a cell with her rapist. And the final current event update highlight for this week is the California governor signs Respect After Death Act. So we got some stuff coming up in the next hour, but I want to use the remainder of this hour here to talk with Jacqui. Jacqui, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready? Everybody, are you ready? No. And if you have any questions, if you yourself is questioning or about your gender identity or you have questions for a friend, give us a call in the studio, 707-545-0318. We'd be happy to have Jacqui answer that for you. She'd probably do a better job than I can. And oh my God, it's so hot in here. My butt's sticking to the chair.
Something everybody needs to know.
I know, right? Hello, 5 million listeners out there. Jacqui, so I mean, could you tell us about yourself? So you are a trans woman.
Yes, I am. What to say?
Let's start at the beginning.
Let's begin at the beginning. I was born in New York City in 1949, and we moved to California when I was 7 years old. So I grew up in Marin County. And I, coming from a Catholic family, I learned all the shame and guilt around sex. And, there was talk earlier about hiding clothes when we were younger. I can remember borrowing my mother's clothes, and she caught me, and I got a real scolding about it. And I've talked to her now. She's 94 years old, and she remembers that I disturbed the clothes in her dresser. She had no concept that I was putting them on. So all she was upset about was the fact that I was touching her property.
Wow.
Whereas I had this shame and guilt of she caught me cross-dressing.
Right.
But she didn't remember it that way.
Oh my gosh. So she didn't even know that you were dressing?
Nope. And then there was my sister who had some of her slips and silky underthings for her play clothes. So I made up the Truth or Consequences game with the girl 2 doors down.
Wait, is that kind of like Truth or Dare? Or
Yeah, kind of like
Yeah.
Truth or Dare is you have to answer a question. If you get it wrong, you have to do what the other person says. And I would always get them wrong, so she would dress me in my sister's play clothes.
Wow, that sounds horrible.
Yeah, it would have been tough.
You know, it's that's so common in cross-dressers and trans people when they first begin to deal with it, because it's a way to escape the responsibility for what you want to do.
So what's the difference between a cross-dresser and a trans person?
Well, a cross-dresser, there's 2 types of cross-dressers, and the words sometimes are defined strictly as a cross-dresser is someone who wears the opposite sex's clothes socially, and then a transvestite is one who gets a sexual thrill out of it. But I don't think those categories are as clear and different, because there is something erotic about female clothing. So, you know, a whole lot of sexuality gets messed up with gender and gender performance. So things are not as clear as some people would like to make them.
Yeah, this is very confusing. It seems like it seems like it's mostly gender identity with aspects of sexual.
Well, I would say the erotic nature of female clothing is not inherent to the clothing itself, but it's just what we place on it. And that's why a lot of young trans women, when they're growing up as, you know, still identifying, at least openly identifying as men, but not internally, you know, they tend to fetishize the clothing, because that's kind of how that's the only outlet they can have to look at it as. That's the only way they can do it. And so it becomes something that you do in secret, and that in turn leads to it being more erotic or whatever. But something I noticed is that as I came to accept who I was, the clothing lost all of that for me, and now it's just clothes. It's just stuff I put on. It has nothing to do with, you know, that kind of feeling.
Yeah, when I first started coming out, I wasn't very sure of how I identified. And so I made up a word, at least I thought I'd made it up, called femophile. I was just attracted to female things. So that's as far as I would go in identification. And I met this trans woman who had fully transitioned, and she told me, I know it's thrilling going out to bars and meeting other trans people, but if you transition, there's no thrill left. It's get up, get dressed, go to work, go to school, whatever you do. And I've always understood that yes, you know, before you transition, there's the thrill of the forbidden, but afterwards, you're just like everybody else. And I would much rather have my true self be out there than the thrills that might have happened before.
Right. I mean, well, you say trans people are just like everybody else, but you know, aren't they just trying to rub it in everybody's faces and show off how, you know, queer and fabulous they are? You know,
actually, just the opposite. Especially when trans people first come out, the last thing they want is a lot of people looking at them and judging them, and that's one of the hardest, especially for those of us who are on the male to female spectrum, is because both men and women check out women more than they check out men, because the women want to know, okay, is she got a style thing that maybe I should copy, or is she better dressed than I am? Is she better at makeup or worse than makeup? They check all that out. And men, you know, of course, they're always checking every woman that is possibly their age or younger. Is it somebody I want to have sex with? And so you're going to get a lot more people looking at you when you transition. And that's very difficult for a lot of trans women to get used to.
What are these people thinking when they're staring at trans people?
That's a good question. I don't know what's in their mind, but I know the trans people always think that they're being read when they're being looked at.
Read? Like
read
what
as in judged as being trans, as opposed to the gender that they're expressing.
As opposed to a cute guy looking at you and smiling because you're cute.
Yeah,
and
I know.
In your head, you think he totally reads you as a trans person.
Exactly. A couple of years ago, I was walking down Market Street during Pride, and a man reached out and grabbed my breast. Now, I thought at first that he was trying to tell whether I was a trans woman or a cross-dresser. Of course, that's why he grabbed my breast. And my wife pointed out, no, men do that on the street at night and they can get away with it. They grab a strange woman's breast, and you have to be careful. Walking as a woman, you see someone walking towards you who's a man alone, you walk away from them so they don't pass close to you, and that's how you stay safe.
What? This happens?
It happens to women, whether they're trans or cisgendered.
Oh my gosh, that is frightening. How do you deal with something like that?
Well, you have to learn all the lessons that the mothers teach their little girls about staying safe. Like when you drive downtown, you lock your doors, you keep your windows closed. You don't open the window for a stranger where he could get into your car. All the things that women learn when they're young, trans women have to learn when they're a little older.
Yeah, these things aren't taught to young little boys out there, generally speaking. Don't. One that a lot of women have told me about was, don't accept a drink from a stranger. And when you're presenting male, it's like, you're just having a beer with some of the locals or whatever.
Exactly.
But it's a little bit different when you're presenting female.
About 15 years ago, I was driving into San Francisco on Halloween. I was going to meet some friends at a party. And this was back before cell phones were as cheap as they are now. And so I had to stop and find a payphone and call their pager and get them to call the payphone back.
Wait, what's a pager? Just kidding.
Yeah. And so
wait, that's before the rotary phone, correct?
No,
Yeah.
not quite. After the rotary phone. But
All right.
I found myself getting out. First of all, with the drug dealing of the 80s and 90s, very few payphones would allow callbacks. So I found myself getting out and having to find a payphone. And I realized it's a little different to go and see some friends in a dress and party, and then as opposed to walking down Geary Street looking for a payphone, which is usually outside of a bar or a liquor store. And all sorts of, shall we say, uninteresting men hang out there.
Uninteresting? What do you mean?
Not the sort of people I would want to hang out with.
Right. Okay. So that's a little scary, it would seem.
Life can be very scary. And one of the things that trans people have to adjust to, just as women have to adjust to, is understanding our vulnerability, but finding a way to live our lives anyway.
Right. Wow. I mean, shoot, most people don't know about this kind of stuff, do they? They just think, well, it's it's just a bloke in a dress, with the strength of a man.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta find that video.
Russia.
Wait, you gotta send me the link to that video with the strength of a man video.
We should remix it and put it into a song.
We should totally play that.
We could play that because it would be our own mix.
Yeah,
we can have DJ Broken Record.
Wait, what's it called? I gotta find it on YouTube. Maybe I can play it.
It was an LAPD training video.
LAPD training video.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
A training video on how to deal with transgender suspects.
Okay. I'm gonna find this. This is great.
It's really bad.
It's horrible.
But the fundamentalists, the people on the far right, are always talking about, you don't want a 14-year-old boy in the bathroom with your daughter. Well, I hate to tell them, but a 14-year-old trans girl, the last thing she is going to do is want to be seen by any other girl. They're going to go in, do what everyone does in the bathroom, and then leave.
Wait, there are 14-year-old trans girls?
Yes, there are. I have, besides the TGNB, Transgender North Bay, I also facilitate a support group for trans youth. I also facilitate a support group for the parents of trans. And I've had parents come down with 3-year-olds, 7-year-olds, and 11-year-olds who have fully transitioned and are living in their chosen gender.
Wait, what? That's amazing. That's very young. Do you think these kids are too young to make a decision like that?
Well, I think that properly diagnosed by a competent professional, that can be the best thing for them. The only caveat is they can't change their bodies at that age.
Right.
So the only treatment they get is they change their name, they change their gender, and they try and live in the gender. And the parents work with a professional, a mental health professional, to make a judgment that that is the best treatment for the child, that the child is not doing this out of some perverse thrill, but this is something that the child needs to be fully adjusted. That's one of the things that is a myth about trans people, is that this is, we mutilate our bodies because we hate our bodies. The problem, if psychiatry could cure us, could change our minds on what we think our body could be, they would do that. But what they found is that doesn't work. And we tend to commit suicide at a horrendous rate if they try that. And the thing that prevents us from committing suicide, the thing that allows us to lead a full and rich life, is if we change our bodies to match our mind. And so that's the best treatment available for being trans right now.
Oh my gosh. I mean, if this, there's all these therapies, that make people, ungay or ungayetize them, or so those don't work.
No, the aversion therapies don't work. As a matter of fact, one of the leaders of one of the ex-gay groups just came out saying that he'd wasted 10 years of his life running the group. He is gay, he always has been gay, and he always will be gay.
Wow. So if anybody out there has a voice to who wants to join in on this conversation, the number is 707-545-0318. Even if you disagree with doing treatment for young trans-identified children, or if you agree, or if you have one yourself. I mean, of course, we don't like to out people or anything like that. Always, privacy being a concern, and we like people to be appropriate. But also, if you feel like you have questions about your own child, give us a call. Jacqui works with a lot of trans-identified youth and has a ton of experience with young people out there. So, Jacqui, this is some pretty amazing stuff. It seems like kids are getting younger and younger and coming out earlier and earlier. What's up with that? Are we just like poisoning the youth of America or something?
Actually, I think just the reverse. I think what's happening is both the children have parents who are open and honest enough with them that the children are able to, I'm a boy or I'm a girl, despite the gender that was assigned at birth. And the parents are sophisticated enough to understand that what they need is professional help, both in terms of finding out what they need to do to help their child, plus having a medical diagnosis from a competent therapist and advice on how to handle that.
Define competent therapist. No, just kidding. That was bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's a bad joke. A licensed therapist is what I was recommending. But one of the most important things that I say at the support groups is a doctor or a therapist works for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're not treating you and making you feel better, both physically and spiritually, emotionally, find another doctor, someone who will support you and help you feel better.
Oh, wow. Okay. So
I was going to say not all licensed therapists are competent.
Yes.
That's true.
And this is a challenge,
I've had some bad doctors too.
Okay. So, I mean, wow. I mean, a lot of people just, this is new info. Is this new information or? Well,
I think the information is not so new, but it's getting out there. Like one of the things we do at Positive Images, that's 312 Chin Street, downtown Santa Rosa, is we maintain a list of trans-friendly therapists, trans-friendly churches and pastors. And so we allow people to connect with resources that will help them get through this.
Wow. Okay. And you actually gave me a copy of some of the support that is out there. If you go to the queerlife.org, under resources, we have lists of as San Francisco Bay Area mental health professionals who have gender specialty. And we have a list of Sonoma County mental health professionals with gender specialty. That's a mouthful right there. All right, everybody, we are going to take a little musical break right now, and play a little chill out stuff. Again, if you have any questions for us, tweet us at The Queer Life. You can watch this feed online, www.thequeerlife.org, and you can watch this feed live on the interwebs. We're also on YouTube. We're also on Google+. We're also on Facebook, facebook.com/thequeerlife. We're everywhere. We're trying to follow you. We're like Big Brother.
We can do a dubstep remix of your www.
Yeah. Dubstick. Anyway, music.
The Urban Dictionary definition of femophile. Of what? Femophile. She said she.
Yeah.
Oh. But Urban Dictionary. Totally not what you identify.
No, totally not.
Why don't you close that door? Oh, real.
Yeah, I just had to look that one up to see. I was like, oh my gosh.
I quite.
You should look up femophile. Okay. The only place it has a definition is Urban Dictionary, which means it's slang.
Yeah. Well, of course, this also was like 95 or 98.
Maybe you originated it.
Oh, I didn't.
And it just converted itself into something else.
And that actually
Although
is an adaptation from pedophile.
Well, yeah. And actually, the one of the words that's really popular nowadays that people are using all the time is they, B-A-E. And they're using it to be baby, not baby.
Baby.
But it says here, they is a Danish word for poop. Also used by people on the internet who think it means baby or sweetie. But really they're saying, hey, poop.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's funny. And I also looked up ratchet because I always hear people say ratchet, you're ratchet.
That's totally ratchet.
Totally ratchet.
Totally.
Ratchet is a diva chick who thinks she's really hot stuff, but really she's like totally messed up. And just, yeah. So you call her ratchet. Ratchet. Gotta keep up with the English.
Yeah.
Come on, English is a fluid language.
That's true.
I keep trying to tell that to people who say that's not a word, that's not a word. Well, I'm like, well, it's being used all over the place. That doesn't make it a word. I'm like, well, yeah, it does make it a word.
Yeah. And basically, all dictionaries do is wait for the usage to get to a certain level, and then they put it in the dictionary.
Exactly. And that's how English has become what it is. I mean, we integrate words constantly.
Yeah.
And that's why Shakespeare made up words. And now they're words that we use every day. But exactly. He made them up. They didn't exist when he wrote them. And people are like, what's this word? He kind of explaining it.
World War II brought a lot of words from the South Pacific.
Oh, yeah.
Word.
Well, like most people nowadays understand sayonara.
Mm-hmm.
Sayonara, suckers.
But people know they can't pronounce it correctly. Sayonara.
Sayonara?
No,
Sayonara.
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 Yeah,
Sayonara.
Sayonara.
Sayonara. And you say, Doma.
Sayonara, suckers.
What kind of do you want?
Oh, does.
I like in Chinese, you're going to say, come here, it's la la la.
La la la.
La la la. La la la.
你在哪儿？
你找我。
Selfie time. There we go. See? Selfie.
No.
Oh, you're posting it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna take a selfie.
No.
I'm gonna take a selfie. My camera's off.
You do it. Here, I'll. Your phone's off?
Yeah, I turned it off because I'm good, you know, like that. No, I'm more spots here.
Here, here's my camera app.
That's your phone?
Oh wait, hold on.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Pay attention.
This is my
You're
favorite.
listening to KBBS FM 89.1 Calistoga, the radio home of the Healdsburg Greenpackers.
Oh,
everybody. My name
It's set on steady right now, so it will have to stay still. I can turn that off if you like so. Ooh, that's nasty. Ooh. That's my bitch right there.
Your camera.
That's my bitch.
That's my home.
That's my bitch.
Yeah, we can say fucking shit on the radio.
On the internet, it's legal. On the
Yeah.
radio, it's not.
Except I can't play music on the internet.
Yeah, we could say cuss all we want. We can play music.
Yeah. Fucking YouTube. Fucking copyright.
And you can.
You'd be listening to my music right now.
Well, it's probably a computer program.
I mean, well,
I doubt anyone's.
we have robots listening to our show.
Yes. Hey, we can advertise that. Robots and master
inmates.
AI programs from Google.
Our show is listened to robots and inmates and robot inmates.
Robot inmate sex workers. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever.
Right? I need a jingle.
You don't have a jingle yet?
You're a jingle.
What do you make
I
a
jingle you.
You don't jingle me, I jingle you.
I know jingle, you jingle. You're Health and Human Services.
Oh!
Nicely done.
Yeah.
Oh, a new web series is about trans men.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The brothers, called Brothers.
Cool. They don't get enough exposure.
No.
What are trans men?
Oh, I was gonna ask you if it would be possible, since you were in connection with a lot of families of trans youth, whether or not you can go to the people you meet with, the families you meet with, if any of them would be interested in coming to talk with us about, you know, some of them.
Hello, everybody. You are listening to The Queer Life on KBBF 89.1, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussion, and interviews. And I am your host, Kaiya Kramer. And
Did you say coast?
I can't talk English good since.
And I am also Kaiya Kramer.
Yeah, no, I'm Kaiya. And I'm joined by my co-host, Mandi Hauwert.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's who I am.
Yeah, that's where you say.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's how the cookie crumbles. Or
Keep it classy, San Diego.
keep it. Our guest for this evening is Jacqui Nugent, co-facilitator for TGNB, that's Transgender North Bay in Santa Rosa. Thank you, Jacqui.
My pleasure to be here.
And if you have any questions about yourself, or you're questioning your identity, your gender identity, or you know somebody who is, and you're just curious, you're curious, give us a call in the studio, 707-545-0318. This feed is available live on the interwebs. You can watch, yes, I said watch this feed. Go to www.thequeerlife.org and you can watch this episode. You can actually see us in the studio. And you can even go to watch it on YouTube. You can even go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thequeerlife. And if you have a quiet question for us, you can go to thequeerlife.org/contact. Go to the contact form. So we want to throw ourselves out there. Where it's like, we're just because we're not trying to show off how queer and fabulous we are.
I was gonna ask you, how do you spell?
Not to be. You're just like, that's Bob.
Bob the Wookiee cat.
Yeah, my mom's cat's name is Bob, and he's a baby Wookiee.
You should get a video of Bob doing his thing and post it.
He's got like giant claws, and no matter how often you clip them, they seem to grow back even longer and sharper. And so it's like, oh wow, Bob, he's so nice. Wow, he'll.
He gets up on your lap and gives you the Wookiee meow. And you're like, oh, he's so cute. And then he claws the hell out of your legs.
Even if you're not wearing pants.
Oh my gosh.
All right. So there we were. Wow. We already had an hour go by. This is crazy.
Super quick.
So, I mean, before we dive into coming to some of the current events, because I'd love to hear your perspective. That's the name of the show.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you wanted to share about your experience here?
I have to say that transitioning was the most liberating thing I did in my life. I was able to discover that I'm a little on the kink side, I'm a little on the poly side, that there are parts of me that I had never explored, and it has been an amazing experience.
Poly, like the movie Along Came Polly?
No, as in polyamorous, that I can love more than one person at a time.
At a time? Like, are we talking like threesomes or?
Not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Twosomes with two different people.
Okay.
I believe polyamorous relationships are more like open relationships, right?
I think open relationships tend to be the two people both can go out and do whatever they want with other people, and I know
that's not what polyamorous is, though.
But polyamory,
it's more
the intimacy. Well, any one of the pair who have a permanent bond may bring someone else into the relationship.
Well, that's what I meant by open. Yeah.
It's open to bringing other people in, but you don't go outside the relationship.
No.
You bring that person into the relationship. Whereas it may only be physical with one of the pair. It's intimate with both in terms of you discuss things, everything's talked about. Basically, it's the difficulty of a marriage squared.
And does that differ from the term swinger?
Very definitely swinger, because to have a good relationship in a marriage, you have to talk honestly about your feelings. To have a good relationship in the poly relationship, three people have to be open at the same time about their feelings when anything goes on in the relationship. And so it takes an awful lot of self-reflection and honesty that can be very difficult to do.
I think I saw this in that one movie, Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Yeah.
With Javier Bardem and Penelope Cruz.
Wait, can you say Javier slowly?
Javier.
Yeah, that's right.
What?
No, I just like Javier.
Call it.
Just don't let him come at you with like that cow thingy.
Yeah, the cow.
Yeah, run.
Run.
But like take photos.
Good job, Tomas. Anyway, so we've certainly learned a lot about the work that you do and your experience as a trans woman here. Would you care to join us here in the conversation on some public news events here?
I would love to.
Yeah, because we are our fancy team of news reporters goes out into the world and tries to to observe as much as possible.
We
And
get the latest and greatest scoops on everything.
absolutely
At least a week or two after it happens.
exactly. So
Right on the ball, I see.
but if you want to see it as it's happening, because we tweet all this stuff fairly regularly,
Oh yeah.
go to @thequeerlife on Twitter. Although I'm told not that many people other than marketers like myself use Twitter. But so well, let's talk about the first
Twitter's so
one.
2000 and late.
Right. You don't love me. Okay. So the first article is California takes a stand against gay and trans panic defenses in criminal cases. This is an article by Michelle Garcia on advocate.com. When my phone reads it to me, it says advocate.com. Oh, Siri, or oh, little voice computer, you talk to me. She always sounds very picky, mad. I'm just like, I'm sorry, honey, I didn't mean to.
Sounds like she has a preference for verbs.
Right.
You advocate.
Yeah.
You are an advocate.
Right. So the little blurb from here is California will likely become the first state in the U.S. to officially bar people in court from using the trans panic or gay panic defense in courts. The panic defense is it's in which a criminal defendant cites their motivation for manslaughter or murder as reacting to the fear of romantic advances by a transgender or gay person, and are often used to receive a lower charge for murder or manslaughter or to avoid conviction altogether. And last year, the American Bar Association called on states to outlaw the so-called gay panic defense, and California is the first to pass such a law. So, my fellow people in this room,
I would say it's actually the actual background for that law is probably more based in the idea of like heat of passion, you know, just like in the moment, you know, oh my gosh, what's going on? I lost it, and that happened, you know.
Well, it's part of the trope that trans people are lying when they say they identify as the gender that they're presenting. So it's a denial of trans people, a trans woman being a woman, that someone could panic that they're having sex with someone who is not a woman when we trans women are. There's a very famous case in the Bay Area, the Gwen Arahu murder,
right?
Where she was at a party and she'd had sex with one of the young men there a week before. Now, she had sex with him, not him with her. And he had a girl check Gwen out and discovered that Gwen was preoperative, had not had surgery. And then they killed her and then buried her in the Sierras. Now, they tried to use the trans panic defense, but the prosecutor in Alameda County was very good at saying it can't be a panic if it happens a week after. And so he was not able to get away with murder. But quite often what happens is someone goes home with a trans woman, or the trans woman goes home with them. And when they try to be honest before the sex act, just that honesty is so scary to that person because of their homophobia that they react violently. And as with abuse of women in all manners, it is not an acceptable way to deal with that emotion.
So if a trans woman, is a trans woman legally required to tell the man that she's really quote unquote a man?
As far as I know, most trans women that I know have legally changed their name and gender. And so there can be no requirement like that because they're legally a woman.
There is no obligation to tell the person you're going home with that your actual name, period. You can make up whatever name you want. There's no legal requirement to tell them who you actually are.
So if I were to go out and, you know, talk to a man or a woman and tell them that my name is Galaxia.
Yeah, they, you know, if they buy it, then, you know, good on them, you know.
Queen of the forest moon of Endor.
What I was going to say is that the gay panic defense was also used in part by the individuals who killed Larry King down in Southern California in Oxnard, and his name is actually Lawrence King, and identified, we believe, not openly at least, as a trans woman, started to identify as a trans woman. So maybe we say she or he, because we're not really sure, because she never or he never got to that point to actually openly start identifying as female, and just right up into the point when she was killed. And in the court, again, they essentially said, the individual who killed her was, just couldn't stand it. It was like, oh my gosh, look at what's right in front of me, and he just had to do something. And it was a moment of panic, basically, is the way they phrased it. In other words, they were calling upon the gay panic defense, not too harshly, but it was, in there. And it actually, in this case, it actually really did work to create a mistrial in the case.
Yes, a number of the jurors sided with the defendant. They actually believed that it was a reasonable response for a young man to get a gun and kill someone who was male-bodied and flirting with him.
Yeah, because Lawrence was, flaunting his sexuality and his femininity in front of the other guy, and I'm not going to say the other person's name because he doesn't really deserve that anyway. But
yeah.
Yeah.
So this seems like it would make it a challenge for trans women who are attracted to cis straight men to date.
I think it's one of the most difficult things for trans women to decide when to reveal their origins. Because if you're going to develop an open and honest relationship with someone, you have to tell them. But if you tell them before you've developed trust, then they may never trust you. And if you wait too long, then that may break the trust. So I think it's the most difficult part of transitioning and living your life.
For me, the policy I have is it's within the first minute of the conversation, it's coming out, as far as if they don't already know, because I feel that it is an important thing. It is an important thing for them to know, because you want them from the very beginning to gain your trust as you are, not as they believe you are. And to me, that's more important. I mean, even if that means that half of them are going to run for the hills, right? Then at least the ones who stay, I know, are going to love me for me or like me for me.
So you're a trans woman and you like men. What does that make you?
A unicorn made of fudge.
And cotton candy.
And cotton candy. Living in Rainbow Land, where everything is free.
I love rainbows. So,
well, in the trans community, that makes me a straight woman.
Yeah.
Outside of the trans community, I'm probably just viewed as a gay man in a dress, right? But that's not within our own community. That's, not the way we look at it.
Right. I mean, what do you think it'll take to change it, to eventually get it so that society sees trans women as another, type of woman?
I think from my point of view, I think the most important work is being done by the youth, where they're trying to break down the absoluteness of gender, that, you can only have one gender and it's assigned at birth, and it has to be forever. Because, somewhere between 1 out of 1,500 and 1 out of 2,000 people in the world are intersexed. And there are a number of conditions, and they are neither fully male nor fully female. And so once people understand that people don't have to be fully one or the other, then they can understand that for trans women, it's not that different from being intersexed. You have to decide how you're going to live in your body as a happy human being. And gender is fairly arbitrary.
Most of the time, I think people always try to base gender on what's in between your legs. But as is in the case with intersex individuals, sometimes that's not so clear cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sex, what I like to say is sex is between the legs and gender is between the ears.
That makes sense.
And just a quick little definition for people who don't know what intersex is.
Intersex is a number of conditions where there is a problem within the body. One example, one condition is androgen insensitivity syndrome. And what happens is the person is born with testosterone, but their body does not accept it. And what happens is their body develops hyper feminine. They generally have thin waists, large hips, and large breasts, are some of the most beautiful women you'd ever see, but genetically they're male.
Wait, so this is different from transgender people?
This is completely different.
And actually, most of the time, they don't even know.
There would be no reason unless...
Yeah, there'd be no reason to even be tested, really.
But
unless it just happens randomly.
Yeah, quite often what will happen is they will find that they're sterile, or they have undescended testes instead of ovaries.
Yeah,
and that's how they find out.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
they had an episode of House about that.
They did an excellent episode.
Yeah, really good. And you know, House figured it out in his normal way. He just kind of had a flash and somebody said something random and he figured it out.
Yeah, at 3/4 into the episode.
Well, after he'd already guessed like 5 times wrong.
Right.
Well, he has to guess 5 times wrong, otherwise the show would be.
Yeah, otherwise the show would be short if he just solved it each time really quickly.
I also just want to say, just as far as our schedule goes, next week we have an interview with an intersex man. His name is Scott Parkhurst. He'll be joining us in on the show. He's
so awesome.
He's awesome. He's absolutely brilliant. He's going to totally share his whole experience in terms of being an intersex man. If you have questions about that, or you want to ask us questions for next week that we will ask over the air, go to thequeerlife.org/contact, or just go to thequeerlife.org and there's a contact form on there. Contact us. Let us know what you'd like to ask. You know, what is intersex? You know, how you feel when you're intersex? You know, so he's actually brilliant in so many regards.
Yeah, and he's very active as well.
Yeah,
in the community and in his own life.
He's led an amazing life. He's had amazing jobs and friends.
Absolutely remarkable, and
although not really as amazing as us, though.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we're kind of like the best cream of the crop, you know,
creme de la creme. So I'm really looking forward to that. That'll be Friday the 10th. You'll be able to hear us. And if you've never heard this show, this is The Queer Life, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussion, and interviewing. So we're really looking forward to also the following week, because I love rainbows so much.
Oh my, I love this. I can't wait.
Oh my God. Just like,
I'm so excited.
Yeah, just like,
oh wait, gosh. Oh, hold on. Oh. You know,
oh my gosh, yeah, wow,
double, oh my God, double rainbow,
double rainbows all the way. We're gonna
okay, go ahead.
Friday the 17th. Those of you who've watched YouTube, you may have seen this video called Double Rainbows,
which you played the entire clip.
I played the entire clip.
It's
of
like
it.
how long? 3 minutes?
It's like 3 minutes of double
rainbow
awesome.
Action.
Yes.
Awesomeness.
Yeah. And it was posted by a man. His name is Yosemite Bear, and he and
is his name actually Yosemite Bear? Or is that his his YouTube
I think
name?
he identifies as a Yosemite Bear.
Okay, well, we can't fault him for that. If he wants to identify as a Yosemite Bear, then
yeah,
you know.
Or maybe he identifies as Bear. I mean,
ooh, yeah,
you know, not to be confused with bears in the gay male community. No, but Yosemite Bear, he and I, we've connected over the power of the interwebs, and he not the crazy thing about that show, that clip, is it got 40 million views.
Yeah, well, it's a double rainbow. What do you expect?
I mean, like, I love rainbows, but it just shows to me that the rest of the world loves rainbows, and anybody who loves rainbows is fine by me. So
they're a friend of the show.
They're a friend of the show, so
we'll take them to Rainbow Land.
We'll, come with us to Rainbow Land, where unicorns are made of fudge and cotton candy, and everything is free.
Yeah.
This isn't the Communist Party. This is the Rainbow Party.
Yeah. Well, it's a Communist manifesto, though. Like,
yes.
13-page document.
Yes.
That's because you're manifesting fabulous.
Yes. So
we talked about the new law that the first, is it the first in the country? I believe, yeah, it is the first in the country, right? That outlaws the gay panic defense. First state in the country.
I have to admit, I'm not knowledgeable on that one.
Okay, so I'm just gonna just read a little thing here. This defense legitimizes prejudice and hate, and it should play absolutely no part in California's justice system. Rick Zabur, executive director-elect of Equality California, and this bill helps eliminate anti-LGBT bias as a reasonable basis to ease the punishment for violent crimes against LGBT people. So if you have any thoughts about that, give us a call, 707-545-0318, or tweet us at The Queer Life, or send us hate mail by going to thequeerlife.org/contact. So let's move on here. We've got a couple news things. Oh my gosh, it is almost time for Kaiya dancing music time. I think it is time for Kaiya dancing music time. So let's chill out a little bit and just enjoy some soothing music called it's called Passion from Nightmares on Wax.
Private school suspensions, expulsions based on vague charge of willful defiance, meaning a boy who hasn't dressed to school. Right. And then this one, Modern Family Act, which advances the rights of families who are LGBTQ and non-biological parents in several ways. So these are all just recent.
That one is really important because gay and people of color were being expelled for willful defiance much more than white kids were.
Yeah. No, so it's now illegal. You can't do it.
Yeah, when I was in school, I never heard of anybody expelled for willful defiance.
Well, so are you having fun?
Yeah, it's fun. I've never been on 2 hours before. Usually, when I do the Wonder part, it's only an hour. So this is fun.
We're on like 2 hours every week.
Yeah. We have like way too much to talk about usually.
We've now done 20 hours of radio.
Yeah,
actually more than that actually. But,
our CV.
We were actually had our show prior to that on Edgar show.
Yeah. And on other shows on this station as well.
Yep.
Love this song.
It's not jazz.
It's not jazz.
What is it?
It's like electronic trip hop.
Nice, very nice.
But I can't play it over the web, otherwise YouTube will copyright. Rah, rah. So,
very nice.
So we have this interesting balance of being silly, but also following it up by seriousness and occasionally losing it, Mandi. I like look over and you're like cracking up.
Very nice. How much?
Very nice.
How much?
You know, we talked a lot about the vagine in here.
Phone call. Yeah, I'll get it.
Okay, you answer it, yeah.
Answer it. Spanish, you got it. Okay, BBM, this is Mandi.
What? Hello, this is Kaiya, KBBF.
I don't know who's here. No, yeah, everyone's gone.
I'm sorry, is who Rosa? What today?
Everything.
Margarita Rosa? Is that for a different program?
Yeah, she's here. She did another program. Every once in a while we get people calling and asking.
When does her show usually? Oh, nice.
That's not nice.
Usually they don't come in until right before the show, but if you want to check out the schedule for all the programming, go to kbbf-fm.org and you can see all of them laid out right there. Okay, I'm sorry.
Another person who wants to know when we're off the air, basically.
Yeah.
Like, what's all this gay sex talk?
Yeah.
I guarantee even though we're pretty mild actually.
Yeah.
I would consider us to be pretty mild, but I'm sure that people who live normally to this station and to them like, what the?
Yeah, but we get new listeners. We're bringing new listeners.
Yeah, we're bringing new people to the station.
People are just flipping through their dials.
Yeah, like the guys we had when Jess was here.
Yeah.
There were two guys who called in about piercings. Like just randomly, they were listening on their radio in their car, and they called in. And that's the first time I think that's happened where somebody called in from their car.
Oh yeah. We had two people call in from their car
on the same day.
Yeah.
All about piercing and
suspension.
Suspension, yeah.
Ooh. Yeah.
I learned a lot about suspension.
Yeah. I love that.
A friend of mine got a king size bed, 8 foot.
Oh yeah. It does say California becomes first state to ban gay trans pets, so it is.
It is the first state. Usually we are on most rides. We're the trailblazers. We're the most far out of the state.
Normally when we have plans stuff to talk about, we don't ever really get to all of it.
Well, yeah. I mentioned there's 4 laws and less than 20 minutes left.
Well, she's got a list of other stuff to talk about. We don't need to talk about this. We do this next week.
You'll probably mention it.
Well, I'd rather like be able to read more about it first.
Okay.
Because it's a bit more specific.
Gotcha. We got about 45 seconds.
Because I just saw this just now. Let's see it. This way we can click up things while we're on here. If people ask us something, we can
Answer questions.
That's what they do on most actual shows nowadays.
Yeah.
Reading articles.
Yeah, reading articles. Yeah. Let other people do the work.
Checking Reddit.
Check Reddit, yeah. Well, that's where a lot of my stories come from, Reddit and Facebook.
All right, everybody, hello. You are listening to The Queer Life on KBBF 89.1, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussion, and interviews. I'm your host, Kaiya Kramer. I am with Mandi Hauwert, my co-host.
I'm just going to give you a death stare.
You know, everybody death stares me. I hate it. Nobody loves me.
No death stare.
I love you.
No.
I'll give you a love stare.
Okay.
That's like a Care Bear stare.
Yeah. And we are joined
Yes,
by
I watched the Care Bears.
our guest for the evening, co-facilitator to Transgender North Bay, a support group for transgender people in Santa Rosa, Jacqui Nugent. Thank you.
Well, it's my pleasure. And besides that, on the first and third Mondays, I have a support group at Positive Images for the parents of trans children. On the first and third Tuesdays, I have a support group for trans youth. And every Thursday at 211 King Street, Positive Images has a support group for any 14 to 24-year-old on the LGBTQIA spectrum. And it is a drop-in group. Come on by anytime between 7 and 9. Meeting starts at 7.
You mean drop in? Kind of like when you're getting a haircut, you can just walk in. Walk-ins are welcome.
Walk-ins are most welcome.
No appointments necessary.
No appointment necessary.
So you can go
And
there.
not just that.
Space
you
is
don't even have
limited.
to identify as queer because we don't ask.
Wow. So you can just be a
Anyone who
straight
needs-
person.
Yes. I was shocked. I had one of the youth just before she moved off to college came out to me as straight.
Wait. What? Were her parents accepting of this?
I was surprised. Her parents were very accepting of it.
Because
being
usually,
straight.
like, we run into like religious problems with, it's like,
Yeah. Thou shalt not lie with a man as thou lies with a woman. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
So
but
totally
that's-
wrong.
That's
Or
an
no, you have it
abomination.
backwards. Thou shalt not lie with a woman as would lie with a man.
There you go.
Yeah. So
But that's an abomination, which is a crime against Yahweh. And I don't know very many people who adore Yahweh anymore.
you can't say that. The world will end.
You can do it Yahweh, and I'll do it my way. Wait. You're doing it every time.
Terrible.
I don't have sound effects.
That was almost a Marx Brother joke, but I failed.
Do you mind if I not smoke?
Yeah, mind if I don't smoke? Hey, there's one too many people in this room, and I think it's you. I should just come up with like lots of Marx Brother quotes, and
That'd be great.
right?
Yeah. We also got to read some other quotes from like Whipping Girl.
Whipping. Yeah, we got to do every week. Didn't you want to do a segment every week where we talk about a small, like for 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 10
we
minutes,
should.
something from that book. It's an amazing book on transsexual women. So,
all right. So next little article. Shoot, we are running out of time here. I'm just gonna skip ahead to transgender woman says she was locked in a cell with her rapist. This brings up issues of trans women being housed with cisgender men due to certain body parts. I'm just gonna read you a little first blip here. The odds were already against Zahara Green when she entered prison on May 10th, 2012. Prisons have long been plagued by a culture of sexual harassment and assault. But Green... I hate you, Mandy. That's my news voice. This is not a laughing... Again, I'm sorry, audience. This is...
I'm sorry, go ahead. I just can't stand your news voice.
What's wrong with my news voice?
Just read it.
But Green was a transgender.
I'm not making you laugh that time. That's you.
But Green was a transgender woman in an all-male facility, making her about 13 times more likely to be sexually assaulted than a non-transgender inmate, according to a 2009 study. So let me say that again. Green was a transgender woman in an all-male facility.
What I've heard of the case says that she was in segregation, but so was the person who raped her, which does not work at all. And prisons tend to put you not according to how you identify, but because of what's between your legs, which does not keep trans women safe.
So at another point, this article says Green was approached by Daryl Ricard, a high-ranking gang member within the prison. She said right after moving to the dorm at Rogers, he was in the 7th year of a life sentence for aggravated child molestation, rape, and kidnapping. Quote, he basically made me his property, she said. This seems to be an issue within the trans community. When one person, so what's the deal? Does a trans person have to be legally female? What are the conditions for a trans woman being housed with other inmates?
Well, my understanding is there was recently passed a law after a study on rape prevention by the Attorney General of the United States that recommended that trans women be separated from the general population for their own safety. And the only problem with that is all too often when they're separated for their own safety, they're put in solitary for 22 hours a day. So there is a real problem with the lack of facilities where they can serve their time, but do it safely.
Well, I mean, one argument that, I'm like that we would hear out there is like, why don't they just not do anything wrong to begin with? Or if they're having problems, don't they like it?
I think one of the problems with that is that there is a higher unemployment rate among trans women than there is in any subcategory of our population because of the prejudice. And when you're unable to find a job, then you turn to the underground economy and you sell drugs, you sell your body, you do whatever you can to survive. And so there is not an awful lot of opportunities for especially trans women of color in this culture.
Let me read another paragraph in here. Over the next few weeks, as Ricard repeatedly coerced her to perform oral sex on him, Green would write to prison administrative staff about the unsafe environment for transgender and homosexual inmates. Green said. Rogers stated prison housed one other transgender woman at the time, to Green's knowledge, although Green was the only one receiving hormone replacement therapy. In one letter, she says she mentioned being sexually targeted by Ricard. Shortly after, she requested to be put into protective custody, which is typically a solitary cell for prisoners who believe their safety to be at risk, carefully monitored by prison officials. So, I mean, everybody out there, you know, when they've heard of you know, going to jail or prison or whatever, that, you know, like there's a rape problem. If you go in, you'll be raped, and you'll become somebody's punk, you know. It seems like trans women would be at a higher risk for this.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm absolutely sure, because one of the things that happens in prison is what's called situational homosexuality, where someone who identifies as heterosexual will have sex with a male-bodied person, and because they are on top, they say the other person is gay and not them. And so by having someone who they rape be more feminine, it's easier for them to deny their homosexual attraction.
Right. One thing that I've heard a lot of people say about trans women is that, well, if they get put in jail, or if it's a trans woman or a gay man, they like men, so wouldn't they like it?
I don't think any woman likes being forced to have sex with someone against their will under any circumstances.
I'm reading here in the article that Green was 17 when she began transitioning. And that's incredibly young.
Very young, and depending on exactly how far she was in development, she could be quite attractive at that age and very feminine in appearance.
So here's what, and I'm looking at the picture of her. She's beautiful. Like, she looks like a cis woman.
She definitely does. She is a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Nothing added or detracted.
Yeah. Excuse me. She is. I said she looks like, but she is a beautiful woman. And anybody who'd see her on the streets probably wouldn't, in this radio host's humble opinion, would think anything different other than she's just a girl.
That's what she is.
But
her being in a male prison outs her to everyone else.
It says here in the article that she has not gone for gender reassignment surgery, but it doesn't say whether or not she is legally changed to be female on her paperwork. So this is really interesting. I mean, I just want to report it. By no means are we experts talking about this. We're just, you know, throwing our voices in on our perspective in on this and bringing it to everybody's attention. The message here is that transgender woman locked in a cell with her rapist, being coerced to perform sexual acts, and this happens a lot. And so we, you know, if you want to join in this conversation, give us a call, 707-545-0318. You can tweet us at The Queer Life, and just, you know, give us your thoughts on this. This is very intense, but I don't want to dwell on this too long. I want to move on to a really big piece of news, actually, for the state of California. California governor signs Respect After Death Act. This is from the transgenderlawcenter.org. And if I do my news voice, Mandy's going to make me laugh.
Go ahead. Stonewall.
Jackson. Wait, wasn't Stonewall that one thing that happened?
Yeah, it was a horrible day.
Yeah, it was horrible.
Don't go there.
Yeah. California governor signs Respect After Death Act. Today, California's Respect After Death Act, AB 1577, was signed by Governor Brown, having passed in both the Assembly and Senate earlier this year. The long-awaited bill will provide needed guidance to help ensure that transgender people have their gender identity reflected on their death certificates. It was authored by the Speaker of the Assembly, Tony Atkins, and co-sponsored by Equality California and Transgender Law Center. Quote, "We are grateful to the governor, California's legislature, and the leadership of Assembly Speaker Atkins for enacting the common sense bill that would help protect the dignity of our loved ones upon their passing," said Mason Davis, Executive Director of Transgender Law Center. "This brings us a significant step closer to making sure that all transgender people are able to live and die authentically in accordance with who they really are." And just as a little aside, I actually met Mason Davis at the California Commission for Human Rights. And I mean, I could probably play a little clip from Mason Davis here. It's pretty rad. I can do this. I'm using the powers of technology here. But ouch, no, I just dropped my water on the mixing board. Oh wait, never mind. There we go. No, I didn't. Just kidding. But check this out here. All right, hi, this is Kaiya Kramer from KBBF Radio, the Queer Live Show. I'm speaking now with Mason Davis of the Transgender Law Center. Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make this quick because I know you're a really busy man. I'm so impressed with the work that you've done in creating open access for students at schools. What were some of the snags that you've run into, and what do you have planned in the future for that? Because I know it's not going across the board perfectly.
Well, we are thrilled that AB 1266 was signed into law by the governor last year. The School Success and Opportunity Act, it really provides guidance to schools throughout the state to make sure that transgender kids, like other kids, should have access to, basic opportunities to be successful in school. That is the law of the land now. It's being implemented by more and more school districts. We're seeing a number of districts across the state adopting really good policies now to help guide any students that might be coming out in school so they can get the support that they need. And we really look forward to more schools adopting that. So, as far as what's next, we certainly have more implementation work to do to make sure that, a child, no matter where they go to school, is able to be treated with respect and be able to be themselves and, have a good shot at being successful, right? So I'm really excited to see that, so that hopefully the youth that are coming up now and coming out at younger ages have a little bit of an easier path than many of us did when we were kids. Gosh, I sure hope that's the case. As many people know, there was a referendum effort to try to overturn the law. It doesn't look like that was successful. They didn't get enough signatures that they needed to put it on the ballot this year. They haven't given up. They filed a lawsuit against the state trying to get more signatures qualified. But, no challenge like this has been successful. So we think it's really unlikely they are going to make it to the ballot this year. But, we can't let up. We need to continue to educate and tell people who we are as transgender people, so we are less susceptible to that kind of backlash, and we are prepared for any fight that we have in the future.
Great. Thanks so much for your time. And this is just us moving forward and educating the world and showing them that we are just like everybody else.
We are fabulous. And I am, for everyone who's out there, no matter how they're queer, I am so appreciative, because that's how we're going to change things for the next generation.
Awesome.
Great sign off.
Yes, that's my.
Is that your tagline now?
That's
awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Awesome. How about awesome sauce?
Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce everywhere. So that was Mason Davis from the Transgender Law Center, Executive Director, and he was talking about AB 1266, about children being able to use their facilities in school, which you talked about in previous episodes. And so the Transgender Law Center is passing a lot of legislation, or trying to get legislation passed that's helping trans people. And this one here, AB 1577, respect after death. Why would trans people need respect after death?
Well, one of the things that's happened is the coroner has referenced the birth certificate to identify a body, so that even if a person has changed their body, changed their legal name and gender with the state, if they haven't changed their birth certificate, they could be buried as their previous identity. And that would be very disrespectful to that person and quite jarring to all of their friends who may or may not have even known.
Well, like, I mean, a lot of people will listen to this and they'll be like, well, why is that a big deal? Like, their real name. It's like, what if a trans girl's name is Yolanda, and then all of a sudden, their real name is Hector.
Well, the real name is the one they were living under. To say that their previously birth-given name is the real name is to deny the reality of who they are as a trans person, be it male or female.
So this seems like a really big change. I mean, for a lot of people, this will probably seem like common sense kind of stuff.
Most of the time when we pass laws to protect people, it is common sense. And if people had been using common sense, we wouldn't need the laws. But the problem is people have emotional reactions, and that really makes a mess of other people's rights.
Can the family decide whether or not what name goes on the tombstone or what have you? I mean, it's just, of course we want to respect somebody's wishes, but some people would say that trans people are mentally ill. Why would we, so what if somebody wants to call themselves Galaxia, Queen of the Forest Moon of Endor? What if they wanted to put that on their tombstone?
It's amazing that the courts have allowed people to have some very strange names.
Yeah.
But this isn't, and I'm sorry, I've totally lost my train of thought here. What was the question again? That whole Galaxia thing threw me.
What if they wanted to have their own name? What if they called themselves Galaxia? What if they're a lot of people think trans people are mentally ill?
Yes, the mentally ill thing. That's why the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, it was changed from gender identity disorder, which sounds like it's a serious illness, to gender dysphoria, because it's not considered a mental illness. It causes depression, which is a mental illness. And just like Robin Williams was not killed by drugs or alcohol or his alcoholism, he was killed by depression. Trans people are often killed by depression. And the only way to cure that depression is to change their bodies. And to the extent that that's not respected, you're doing damage to them and to the people who love them.
Do we have numbers? How many trans people die? Or
well, I don't have numbers on the deaths, but in the U.S., the last report I heard, in the United States, 1.5% of the population attempts suicide sometime in their life. In the lesbian, gay, and bisexual population, 10% have attempted suicide once in their life. In the trans population, 41% have attempted suicide at least once in their life. And in my support group at Positive Images, 85% of us have attempted suicide, and one woman committed suicide about 1.5 years ago.
Whoa, 85%.
85% have at least once. Many of us, more than once, have attempted suicide.
I would actually say the actual percentage is probably even higher in the general public, in the trans community. It's got to be higher than 40-some%. It's probably just underreported.
I would not be at all surprised if it's underreported. I think it also depends on the age range. Those of us who transitioned later probably had more experience of depression that would lead to suicide attempts.
Although I have noticed that not just here locally, but even around the country, around the world, there have been reports of a lot of trans youth committing suicide.
Yes, even at a young age, if they don't get support from their families and therapists, that can lead to depression, which leads quite often to suicide.
So. And we've stated this in previous episodes before, but I want to make a shout out to everybody out there listening. If you have a friend who is queer identified, whether they're gay, whether they're lesbian, whether they're transgender, whether they have a form of intersex, whether they're bisexual, whether they're asexual, it doesn't matter what. Do your best to try not to make them feel like they're different, because when it comes down to it, this is just gender identity. This is just sexual orientation. And for the most part, it's not going to affect you. Let your friend know that you care about them and you love them no matter what, no matter who they decide to be with, no matter which way they decide to express themselves. This is so important. these statistics that we're hearing are absolutely atrocious. You know, people are taking their lives, and this can't happen. I mean,
I would say that support from family, especially, and even friends and around you is probably the most important aspect of transitioning or just being queer in general. Having people around you that not just like are trying to support you, but absolutely support and believe in you and root for you.
Absolutely. So we are just about out of time here. You've been listening to The Queer Life, LGBT news, modern perspectives, roundtable discussion, and interviews on KBBF 89.1. I'm your host, Kaiya Kramer. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Mandi Hauwert.
Oh, I didn't get to prepare another Marx Brother.
Yes. And our guest for this evening has been co-facilitator for Transgender North Bay, a transgender support group in Santa Rosa. If you have any questions about that, you can visit the website, www.thequeerlife.org, hit our contact page, or go to this episode. We've got notes for it. And just let us know what's up. So everybody, thank you so much for listening. It's been a pleasure to have you join us between the tears and the laughter and the sadness and the joy and the rainbows. And
actually, now that I think about it, we have laughed a lot, but we've also cried a few times on the air.
Yeah, for both happy and sad things.
Yeah.
So this is, we go through the full range of emotions here. But so I'm gonna play you a really sad song, the Macklemore and Ryan Lewis "Same Love" music.
Don't make me cry, Kaiya.
It's kind of sad.